Have you ever wondered what it was like before anything existed? Before the first star ignited in the darkness? Before the first breath of wind stirred across empty space? Before time itself began to tick? What does absolute nothingness look like? Can you even imagine a reality where silence wasn't broken by sound, where darkness had never met light, where the very concept of existence hung in perfect, untouched stillness? Well, prepare yourself, because what I'm about to share with you isn't just another retelling of an ancient story. This is the moment when everything changed forever. The instant when the impossible became reality. When the void trembled at the sound of a voice, and when creation itself burst into being with a power so magnificent that it still echoes through every atom in the universe today. This is the story of Genesis. But not the version you might remember from Sunday school flannel boards or children's picture books. This is the raw, breathtaking account of how the creator of the universe spoke existence into being with words that carried more force than 1,000 supernovas. And here's what might shock you. Every detail of this ancient narrative points to something far more profound than just the beginning of time. It reveals the very heart of God Himself, His relationship with humanity, and why everything that followed, including your own life, carries eternal significance. Drop a 777 in the comments if you're ready to experience the creation story like never before. Because what unfolds in these opening chapters of Genesis will forever change how you see the world around you, the purpose behind your existence, and the incredible love that set everything in motion. In the beginning, there was God, not emptiness that somehow became fullness, not chaos that organized itself into order, not random particles that accidentally assembled into complexity. There was God, eternal and perfect, existing in complete unity within Himself, needing nothing yet choosing to create everything. Picture this if you can, absolute silence stretching across infinite nothingness. No light, no darkness, no space, no time. Just the eternal presence of the Creator dwelling in perfect peace before the first moment of the first day. The Hebrew word used here is tohu wa bohu, describing a formless void, an emptiness so complete that our minds can barely grasp it. But then, something extraordinary happened. God spoke, "Let there be light." 4 simple words that shattered the silence of eternity. Not a gradual dawning, not a slow emergence from shadow, but an instantaneous explosion of radiance that filled the void with blazing glory. This wasn't the light of the sun or stars. Those wouldn't come until day 4. This was pure light, divine light, the very essence of God's presence illuminating what had never been seen before. Can you imagine witnessing that moment? The first photon racing through space, the first ray piercing the darkness, the first brilliant flash announcing that creation had begun? This light wasn't created from existing materials because no materials existed. It sprang from the voice of God Himself, proving that His word carries creative power beyond anything we can comprehend. And God saw that the light was good. Not just adequate, not merely functional, but good. Perfect, beautiful, exactly as He intended. Then came the first divine act of separation. God divided the light from the darkness, calling the light day and the darkness night. Think about this for a moment. Before this instant, there was no such thing as day or night, no rhythm of time, no cycle of rest and work. God was establishing the very framework within which all future existence would operate. He was creating time itself, setting the cosmic clock that would measure every heartbeat, every breath, every moment of human history. Evening came, morning followed. The first day was complete, but this was only the beginning. On the second day, God continued his work of separation and formation. He spoke again, and the waters that covered everything began to part. Some waters were lifted high above, others remained below, and between them stretched something entirely new. The sky, the heavens, a vast blue dome that would one day be filled with clouds and storms and the songs of birds. The Hebrew word rakia describes this sky as something beaten out, hammered into shape like metal formed by a master craftsman. God was sculpting space itself, creating dimensions and boundaries where none had existed before. The waters above would later become the source of rain. The waters below would become seas and rivers, but between them stretched this magnificent canopy that would serve as the backdrop for all earthly life. As the third day dawned, God's voice rang out once more. Let the waters under the sky be gathered into one place, and let dry land appear. Suddenly the earth began to take shape. Continents rose from beneath the waters, mountains thrust skyward, valleys carved themselves deep, and the seas found their boundaries. But God wasn't finished with the third day. After forming the land and seas, he called forth life itself. Let the earth sprout vegetation, plants yielding seed, and fruit trees bearing fruit. And it happened exactly as he commanded. Picture the earth suddenly bursting with color and life, grass pushing through soil for the first time, flowers unfolding their petals in brilliant displays of beauty, fruit trees heavy with produce, each one perfectly designed to reproduce after its own kind. The barren ground transformed into a living carpet of green, a testimony to the creative power that could bring life from lifeless matter with nothing more than a word. This wasn't evolution over millions of years. This wasn't a gradual process of development and adaptation. This was instant, complete, perfect creation. Mature trees bearing fruit, fully formed plants with seeds ready to reproduce, an entire ecosystem springing into existence in a single day, because the Creator commanded it to be so. On the fourth day, God addressed the darkness that had alternated with his created light for 3 days. Let there be lights in the expanse of the heavens to separate the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years. The sun blazed to life, a burning furnace of nuclear fusion perfectly positioned to warm the earth without scorching it. The moon appeared in its orbit, reflecting the sun's light and governing the tides. And then, in a display of creativity that still takes our breath away, God scattered the stars across the heavens like diamonds on black velvet. Billions upon billions of stars, each one a sun in its own right, many larger and brighter than our own. Galaxies spinning in perfect harmony, nebulae painting the cosmos in colors beyond description, constellations forming patterns that would one day guide travelers and inspire poets. The sheer scale of what God created on this fourth day boggles the mind. Our own galaxy contains over 100 billion stars, and astronomers estimate there are more than 2 trillion galaxies in the observable universe. Yet all of this cosmic majesty was spoken into existence in a single day. Each star positioned with mathematical precision, each planet placed in its exact orbit, each gravitational force calibrated to maintain perfect balance throughout the universe. The God who created all of this is the same God who would soon breathe life into a man formed from dust. The fifth day burst into existence with a command that filled the waters and skies with creatures beyond imagination. Let the waters swarm with living creatures, and let birds fly above the earth across the expanse of the heavens. And suddenly the seas that had been empty began to teem with life. Massive whales breached the surface for the first time, their songs echoing through the deep. Schools of fish darted through coral reefs that painted the ocean floor in brilliant colors. Jellyfish pulsed like living lanterns in the darkness below, while dolphins leaped and played in the waves above. Every creature perfectly designed for its environment, from the tiniest seahorse to the mightiest leviathan. But the wonder didn't stop in the seas. The skies exploded with movement as birds took flight for the first time. Eagles soared on thermals high above mountain peaks, their keen eyes scanning the landscape below. Hummingbirds hovered like jeweled helicopters, their wings beating so fast they became a blur. Flocks of geese formed perfect V formations across the sky, while songbirds filled the air with melodies that had never been heard before. Can you picture that moment when silence was broken by the first birdsong? When the first whale's call resonated through the ocean depths? When wings caught air for the very first time and creatures discovered the joy of flight? This wasn't just the appearance of animals. This was the birth of movement, of sound, of the dynamic energy that would make creation come alive. And then God blessed them with words that would echo through every generation. Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters in the seas, and let birds multiply on the earth. This was more than permission. It was a divine command wrapped in blessing, a guarantee that life would not just survive but thrive and spread throughout the world. The sixth day dawned with even greater wonders waiting to unfold. God spoke again, and this time his attention turned to the land. Let the earth bring forth living creatures according to their kinds, livestock and creeping things and beasts of the earth according to their kinds. Suddenly the continents erupted with life. Lions prowled the savannas, their roars announcing their dominion over the plains. Elephants thundered across the landscape, their massive forms moving with surprising grace. Deer bounded through forests with elegant leaps, while bears lumbered through mountain valleys. Horses galloped across open fields, their manes flowing in the wind they had never felt before. Every ecosystem filled with perfectly designed creatures. Arctic regions welcomed polar bears and seals. Jungles came alive with monkeys swinging through canopies and colorful birds calling from the trees. Deserts hosted camels and lizards adapted for harsh conditions, each animal crafted with intricate detail, from the spots on a leopard to the stripes on a zebra, from the trunk of an elephant to the neck of a giraffe. But something unprecedented was about to happen. After creating all these magnificent creatures, God paused. For the first time in the creation narrative, we hear the Trinity in council. Let us make man in our image, after our likeness. This wasn't going to be just another creature. This was going to be something entirely different, something that would bear the very image of the Creator himself. And the way God went about creating man was unlike anything that had come before. God didn't speak man into existence from a distance. Instead, he knelt down, so to speak, and began to work with his hands. He took dust from the ground, the same earth that had brought forth plants and provided a home for animals, and began to shape it with the care of a master sculptor. Imagine the creator of the universe, who had spoken galaxies into existence with a word, now carefully forming each feature, each limb, each organ with infinite precision and love. He shaped the brain that would house consciousness, the heart that would pump life through veins, the hands that would create and build, the eyes that would behold beauty, the mouth that would speak and sing. But even after this careful formation, the figure lying on the ground was still just earth, still just dust. Beautiful perhaps, perfect in form, but lifeless. Then came the most intimate moment in all of creation. God leaned down and breathed into man's nostrils the breath of life. This wasn't just air filling lungs, this was the very breath of the Almighty, the same Spirit that had hovered over the waters at the beginning, now entering into this formed clay. And in that moment something miraculous happened. The dust became a living soul. Adam's chest rose with his first breath. His eyes opened for the first time, his heart began to beat. Consciousness dawned and he became aware that he existed, that he was alive, that he was loved. But God looked at his creation and declared something that hadn't been said before. It is not good for man to be alone. In all the perfection of creation, here was the first thing that was not good. Not because there was anything wrong with Adam, but because God had designed him for relationship, for companionship, for love that could be shared. So God caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, and while he slept, God performed the first surgery. He took one of Adam's ribs, closed up the flesh, and from that rib he built a woman. Not formed from dust this time, but crafted from the very bone and flesh of man himself. When Adam awoke and saw her standing before him, his response was pure poetry. The first words of joy ever spoken by a human voice. This at last is bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman because she was taken out of man. Here was Eve, whose name means living, the mother of all who would come after. Beautiful beyond description, intelligent, creative, bearing the image of God just as fully as Adam. Not a lesser creation, not an afterthought, but an equal partner taken from Adam's side to walk beside him close to his heart. Together they stood in the garden that God had prepared, naked and unashamed, perfect in their innocence, perfect in their love for each other and their relationship with their Creator. The world was theirs to explore, to name, to tend, to enjoy. And God looked at everything he had made, and behold, it was very good. Not just good, but very good, perfect, complete, exactly as it should be. Evening and morning marked the sixth day, and creation was finished. But this story, this magnificent beginning, didn't end with exile and brokenness. On the seventh day, God rested. Not because he was weary from his labor, but to establish something sacred, something holy. He blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, creating a rhythm of work and rest that would echo through all human history. This wasn't the rest of exhaustion, but the rest of completion, of satisfaction, of a masterpiece finally finished. Think about what we've witnessed together. 6 days of creation that reveal not just how the universe began, but who the Creator is. A God of order who brings light from darkness. A God of beauty who paints sunsets and scatters stars. A God of life who fills empty spaces with songs and laughter. A God of love who forms humanity with his own hands and breathes his own breath into our lungs. The story of Genesis isn't just ancient history. It's your story. Every time you watch a sunrise, you're seeing the same light God called forth on day one. Every time you breathe, you're receiving the same breath he gave to Adam. Every time you love someone, you're reflecting the image of God that was stamped into your very being from the moment of creation. Yes, paradise was lost. Yes, sin entered the world, but even in that darkest moment when everything seemed to fall apart, God was already writing the story of redemption. The promise of one who would come to crush the serpent's head, to restore what was broken, to bring us home. That promise echoes through every page of Scripture, through every generation of human history, until finally, in the fullness of time, heaven touched earth once again. The Word who spoke creation into existence became flesh and dwelt among us. The same voice that called light from darkness now calls us from death to life, from exile to home, from brokenness to wholeness. This is your invitation. The God who created you in his image is calling you by name, just as he called to Adam in the garden. He's not hiding from you. He's seeking you. The same love that carefully formed you in your mother's womb is reaching out to you right now, offering forgiveness, offering hope, offering life. If this story has stirred something in your heart, don't ignore it. That's the voice of your Creator calling you home. Share this video with someone who needs to hear about the God who spoke everything into existence and who loves them beyond measure. Like and subscribe for more biblical stories that will transform how you see yourself and your purpose. And remember, this is just the beginning.